Hi, welcome, welcome. I'm so glad you joined today. I'm Kelly Pitts, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Lubbock, Texas, and I've been a demonstrator since 2005. So I love paper crafting and I love the community that we've built through our Create with Kelley crew. So if you're in the Lubbock area and would like to join for some local classes, we'd love to have you. Just let me know. Sign up for my MailChimp email list. And you can find my YouTube videos on Create with Kelly Pitts, or check me out on my Facebook page, Create with Kelley, or have a group, Create with Kelley Crew. So lots of ways to catch me. If you're interested in any of the products that I have to sell, the Stampin' Up! Products that I use today, we are focusing today on the first of 7 different cards that we're going to make with the designer series paper from the Love Notes that's on page 17 of the catalog. So I will get myself off the screen and we will switch over to this big screen. These are the papers that I am featuring in this series, this collection. And the Love Notes 6x6 pages have a front and back, as almost all of our DSPs do. And some of the pages have these little front backs that are cutaway that you can cut apart into 3x3 or even smaller, even 1.5x3. And then there's different ways to use them. So today we are concentrating on this piece of paper right here, the hearts, and then also using this one that, as you can see, when it's full size, it has white space around it. And I have taken the Everyday Arches dies and cut that out. And I thought I had those in here. Yes, right here. The arches are what I use. This magnet is not strong enough to hold my stuff where I want it. Here, let's see what we did. Was it this one or smaller? I think it was maybe this one. Yes. So this is the one we used, which will take a minute here. I haven't. Anyway, you can tell which one of the ones fits directly around the heart part. And then it has a partner card. This one, can you see what's on the back here? See this floral? This is where it came from. So you carefully cut out the heart with this arch, and then you're going to use the negative part here and the positive here, or whichever way you want to call it, negative and positive. So that's the arch that I cut out right here, was this size. And this was on the reverse side of this paper. Hopefully that makes sense. See how that fills in the gap? That's where that was. Right here. Okay. So we're going to make it. This is probably our simplest one of the 7 cards. You would think that I would just make really easy cards, but I don't. I just seem to always choose to add a little bit to it because I enjoy that. So we're going to start with the easy one, and then I don't know exactly when I'm doing the videos of the other cards, but I will be doing those. And I've got a class coming up on the 27th of January, and I think it's full. And I have one tonight with the True Blue Florals that is already full. So that's exciting. Okay, now we're going to take this typical 8.5 by 5.5 is scored at, let's look, 1 inch, 2 inch, and 5 inch. Okay, and this is cut to 8 inches. So usually this piece of paper is 8.5. So you'll cut it to 8 inches first. So it's actually 8 inches by 5.5. And then scored at 1, 2, and 5. Easy peasy. And we're going to start with the mountain fold. As you can tell here, we're going to go mountain and just make sure we get that really good and even on both sides. Burnish it well on the front and the back. Then we'll have a valley. And I'm going to open that up and I'm going to burnish that really well too. This side, flip it over, do that side. Okay, so now we have a mountain. valley, and we're going to have another mountain. So it's going to go this way. And we want that even with the other side over there. Burnish this one. Hope y'all are having a great day. Can you believe it's already Valentine's Day is going to be here before we know it? So I know a lot of people think of Valentine's only as for your sweetheart, but really there are I have a lot of friends who are widowed and no longer have a spouse to give them a Valentine's card. And I just think it's awesome to send just to friends. I have close friends that I say I love you, and I think this is a day of sharing love. It's not just about sweetheart kind of love. So I'll show you what we did on the designer series paper. As I said, this piece started out to be a 6x6, and now it is 5 1/4 by 2 3/4. So the remaining out of the 6 inches, you've got, here's the 2 3/4 out of the 6. So this piece we've got somewhere else that we're going to use on a different card. So it really does matter. You want to cut your 6x6. If you're doing this yourself at home, you'll cut it at 2 3/4 inches and then cut it all the way across at 6. And then we're going to cut off that little bit of extra part here, the 3/4 inches that you've got between the 5 1/4 and 6. And we'll use that on the back. That's going to be this little strip. I think I actually cut it even a little bit more. I think this is, let's see. Nope, that's 3/4. So that's what this is. So that piece came off of here. Hope that makes sense. Okie dokie. So we're just going to take our glue mat and get this piece glued. Isn't that pretty? That purple on the other side. We're going to do a card with that. And it shows in the packet of designer series paper, it shows that that's gorgeous grape, but I think it's a lighter color of the gorgeous grape. I think it's more like Highland Heather. So that's what we used as a card base on that other card, which you'll just have to tune back in to see. Hi from Holland. Nice to meet you. Can I put your little notice up on the screen? Is that all right? Hopefully that's not sharing anything that I shouldn't be sharing. I appreciate you tuning in. Let me know if you have any questions. Okay, we're going to take this little piece that, as I said, was 2 3/4 by 5 1/4. And I'm just going to put that right there. Glue that in. You can use your liquid glue. You can use your Stampin' Seal, whatever makes you happy. And then we've got another piece that we're going to stamp for the back. And that is white, and it's the same size, the 2 3/4 by 5 1/4. And I'm going to stamp on here from one of the new sets. This is the product of the month for January, is this Fabulous Saying set. And I love the script, the font. I think it's really pretty with the combos here. And I thought I would just put Sending Love. On the front, we've got You're Amazing, which I'll show you in a minute where that came from. That was off of one of the pieces of designer series paper. And I just used the Arches dies on it to cut that little piece out. But we're just going to use Sending Love. Or we could use Happy Valentine's Day, that is from the Reasons to Celebrate, or Reason to Celebrate kit. And this has a lot of the different holidays on it, which is fun. So you can just buy one set and use it for lots of different things. So we could do Happy Valentine's Day on here on the back, or we could just do the Sending Love. And then with the You're Amazing on the front, it could be used for any occasion, really, just sending them something and saying Sending Love. So I thought that's what I would do, unless y'all want to see the Valentine's Day one. And is it Aletta? I'm not sure if that's the right pronunciation, but I'm glad to have you here. Thanks for tuning in. If anybody else is in, please comment and let me know who you are and where you're from. Okie dokie. I think on the back, let's see, if we turn this over, how are we going to want that on the back? I usually put that on the left. So I'm going to leave room for it. I'm going to kind of audition my piece and say, I think I'm going to have that there, and then put sending love right there. And I have not used this stamp, so I better try it on some scratch paper first. Let's do that just to make sure there wasn't anything in the, yeah, it probably needs to be. I usually stamp it a couple times if it's a brand new set, kind of smear it around a bit, clean it, because, you know, Stampin' Up makes these, the photopolymer. I believe they still make those at their plant in Utah. And as they're made on the assembly line, there may be some oils or something that are left on that. And that's what you want to get off the first time you use it, so that it's not a mess. Okay, so that I center this properly, get that where I want it, then I'm going to put this right here. Because if you just stamp it in the middle, then it's going to be off-centered for this, to add this piece later. All right, so that's all I'm doing is the sending love with the cute little hearts. And if you wanted a red border, you could add a little piece of red cardstock if you wanted to do that. We're keeping this one simple. And we're through with our stamping. So we're going to add this little piece. And I'm just using liquid glue, but again, you could use Stampin' Seal if you prefer. And if you don't get it exactly right, if it's a little long, you can trim it. I always flip it over to trim it from the back if it's not the right size, but I think this one's going to work. So we will just attach this to the back. And it should have an even border all the way around. It's 1/4 inch smaller overall than this piece, which is, when it's folded like this, this would be 3 by 5.5. Okay, so there's our cute little bag to write our message on. Now we've got the front, and we're going to take our, I did wonder about maybe possibly cutting another white arch and gluing it to the back so it's a little sturdier, but I did not get that done. So we're going to do it the same way I did the first one. And before I glue this down, ask me how I know what's easier. Hi, Kathy. Good to see you. Thank you all both for tuning in. Okay, we're going to take some of the red and white twine that is in the annual catalog, and I'm going to leave, let's see, I'm going to leave about that much. That's probably about 8 or 9 inches. Might be a little bit of overkill. And I'm going to wrap it 2 or 3 times. Probably 3 is plenty. And cut that off so I can tie a bow. Using my ribbon scissors. Have to have some dedicated ribbon scissors because cutting paper is a good way to wear your scissors out. I didn't get that very even. I'm going to redo that. Sorry. But you live and learn. Okay, we're going to go again. Wrap 3 times. And we're going to tie this bow. That didn't seem to help much. So I'm going to go ahead and tie it, and then I can move it over if I need to. Here we go. I'll leave that where you can see it. And sometimes I'll go ahead and show you. I'm going to tuck this under. If y'all can see that. Let me see if I can get that closer to the camera. See how I tuck that under all 3 rows? And then I'm going to take and tie it here. So that it looks like it's kind of tied through all of them. Then I'll tie my little bow. and straighten that up. And if you get the loops too big, you hold it in the middle and then pull your tails like that to tighten it up. Then you can mess with it a little bit more, get it the way you want it. I think I want a little bit bigger loops. I think that'll work. And then when you get it the way you want it, if you want to grab the tails and the loops both and pull, and that will help tighten that knot. But you don't want to do it till you're ready. Okay, let's trim that off just a little bit, and don't do it fast. You can get hung up on your scissors if you do it fast. Now we're going to be able to curve this and move it up as we want to, as we decide exactly where we want it on the card. So you want it above where this hits right here. And anywhere in there, we're going to kind of move it up just a little bit. I had moved it down, but I think that was premature. Now we're going to have this You're Amazing over here, and we want the bow to kind of loop over that. Let's see how we like this arrangement with that about right there. I think I like that. So if you wanted it, if you felt like this was too flimsy, you could attach another arch, a white arch in the back, like I said. And you could either do it before if you wanted this ribbon to show from the back. I don't think anybody's really going to turn their card over and see that. And I'm going to kind of figure out about where I want it. And I'm going to put my finger there and there. And then I know that's where the glue goes. Because if you put it on the back of the heart piece, sometimes you may, if you put the glue here, you might go too high with it. So I'm just going to glue it right there. Still got a little free with the glue. Okay, now before it seals down, I really wanted it a little bit further over this way. That's why I like liquid glue, because I can kind of wiggle it around. All right, is that level? Yes, make sure it's level with your tabletop. And that's how it's going to stand. Isn't that cute? Look at that. Oh, who would think it could be this simple, right? Okay, then we're going to pop this up with dimensionals. Our little arch. That is probably the second largest arch in that set. And we are doing this at the bottom just to be safe on here, because you don't want it showing back here. You don't want the dimensional showing. So I think, let's see, that one we can do at the top because we know it's not going to hang over. So you can tell, obviously, this was the back of the DSP and this was the front, or the way we used it. And this was one of those little 1.5 by 3 inches that I mentioned at the first when I showed you the page out of the catalog. I'll show you that again if you'd like. So we don't have one at the top here because that's going to show from the back, and we don't want that. So we're just going to get that where we want it. You can lay it down flat or whatever. And I try not to push down too hard. I just barely put it up until I'm sure that's where I want it. And I think that's about right. So I'm just going to press down on those dimensionals and set those. Then we're going to get a few of our loose Valentines assortment. And do y'all like these? Do you have these? Kathy or Aletta, do you have those? Oh, yeah, Aletta, I didn't see that. If you cross the threads twice at the knot, you don't need a third hand. That's a good one. Yeah, I didn't cross them. I just tucked it under, but yeah, that works either way. Thanks for the tip. All right, I kind of like the way these, I put the white on the red here. This doesn't show much, but we'll see what you think. See if y'all like the white better here. Or if you might want to even see one of these little mailboxes. I mean, mailbox envelopes. These are little envelopes that have I'll show you all the different ones that are in here. And I haven't really used, I think that's supposed to be like a lips or kiss or something, but I haven't used that on any of my cards. So you've got pink, white, and this is kind of flirty flamingo. And then it's got the little envelope with the heart on it. So I just use one of each of the color hearts. And this bubble bath is quite a bit different from this. This is almost like a washed out flirty flamingo, but I think it works on the card. So we're just going to put one like that. And we'll put the light colored one over here. And it's easier to use your take a pick tool really with the putty to kind of pick that up, and you can press that down. And we'll pick this heart up here. Thank you, Kathy. I'm glad you think these are cute. And then I tilt this in a little bit, either straight up or a little bit in, because you want your eye to remain in the card and not point you out of it. You want them to keep circling. And we can use a little bit of Wink of Stella. Hopefully I brought that in. But these, you get a ton of these, and they're kind of rubbery feeling. I kind of got off track with these loose assortments. Loose Valentine's assortment is what those are called. And let's get our Wink of Stella. Hopefully this is one that has some in it. I've got several going, and some of them are better than others. Yeah, this will work. I'm just going to glitter that whole heart there. Then I'm going to glitter these. Wink, wink, wink. And if you'd like to make it look kind of like a layer, you can go around where the die has the little pattern of cutout, and you can just wink that part. You can do it on there. You can do it on here. Whatever you would like to do. Try not to go off your card like I did there. And this is probably easier before you put your ribbon on, but it works. And I'll show you this up close in just a minute here. Probably could get a little bit juicier Wink of Stella, but hopefully you'll be able to see that on the air. Can you kind of tell? Yeah, you can see a little shine. But see how it adds just a little touch there to go around the edge like that. What do you think of the card? Do y'all like this? Thank you. Yes, and the envelope too. Yes. Yes, we could do. What do I have for the envelope? I don't think I brought anything in here, but if you buy a whole pack of the designer series paper and you have extra sheets, that would be darling to put the matching designer series paper on the flap. However, I had a pack and a half, and I'm using it all for a class that I've got coming up on the 27th. So all of mine's used with the kits, but that would be really cute on the envelope. Or if you have any hearts from a past Valentine's kit, I don't have another one here that's current, that's Valentine, but you could certainly put Sending Love on the envelope too. We can do that. Why don't we do that on the flap? And then I will let y'all go. Thanks again for tuning in. And I will be back in the next, probably tomorrow, doing some more of the cards. If y'all want to, what's a good time for y'all? Is this a good time? 3 o'clock. I was trying to do them at 2, but I haven't had a lot of folks tuning in at that time. So I don't know if I should start earlier or what. But I'm glad Holland could even tune in. Aletta? Aletta, what are you meaning, do you also? I'm not sure what that was referring to. So we have Sending Love on the envelope. And then our cute little card. And I'll turn the camera around and we'll say goodbye. Now, 3 is good for you, Kathy. Okay. I may try 3. It was good to have you from Holland. Let's see. Let me switch my camera back again. And let's see. I hit that one. Okay. Which side does the card go on? This one, this one. Thank you again for tuning in to Letta and Kathy. And whether you're watching live on Facebook or live on the replay, or whether you're watching later on, watching the replay, I'm happy to have you here. Thanks a lot for tuning in. And again, this card is one of the 7 that I did from using one sheet of each design from the designer series paper called Love Notes. Let me show you that again in the catalog in case you missed it at the first. And that is on page 17 of the Stampin' Up! Mini catalog. And thanks again. Bye-bye. Have a great day. Fun times ahead. Bye-bye.